All right, well, welcome to another episode. This is JR, founder and CEO of Social Market.
And my name's Leon Hitchens. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Social Market. I think it's been, what, two, three
Yeah, you,
weeks?
yeah, you kind of went MIA, bro. Well, to be fair, we've both been doing things. So I've been coding my life away. Like I was complaining to Leon, I've been coding like 12-hour days for like the last 2 weeks, and I can finally come out of my burrow.
Yeah, and then I had just some travel. I had a conference. I had some just family travel in Arizona, and then just one thing after another in October led to to skipping out on there. And then I think one time I was just literally sneezing nonstop, and I was like, I can't do this episode today. I was like, I'm gonna go back to bed.
I feel that. No, and I just feel it worse, so I don't even blame you. But yeah, I mean, actually, there's been several developing stories, but we're actually going to do things a little bit different here on on Social Ledger Report, which it's kind of confusing because the names overlap a little. Um, so for first, we've been getting a lot of feedback from our friends and family, and it actually makes sense. We're actually trying to improve here, so we always appreciate any kind of feedback we get. I think the main subject for this podcast is going to be like crypto. We're going to try to give everyone kind of like what's happening in crypto, but we're going to be a little bit more lax about it, not have a stick up our ass sort of thing. So that's going to be the new approach.
Yeah, and then we've got the product launching. Like we're
Yes.
rolling out social market more and more. Like I think the more thoughtful approach from us too is just making sure it kind of ties into what our mission is, making crypto safer for everybody, and then
Yes.
bringing it out there in a organic, natural way without just kind of shoving it down every single person that's watching here.
Yes. So if you're tuning in for the first time, you'll notice that we talk about us being in a different company and this is a separate podcast. So we're kind of like just trying to give everyone a sense of what we're doing and also kind of like what's happening in the markets. So for a long time, we were building this product that was going to help people trade in a non decentralized way. Like, if you want to actively trade, you need to go to Yahoo Finance, you need to go Robinhood, you need to go to all these different places. And it can be kind of a clunky experience. We tried to do that, but it was actually not as easy to do. So we pivoted the business since. So from being this centralized hub for people to trade, now we're doing crypto coverage where our mission is to make crypto more trustful. And we're actually going to cover some topics as to why it's actually important to trust crypto because, you know, there's a lot of bad actors. It actually brings a lot of the worst kind of people into the business, but it also is changing a lot in the last few years where now people in actual big businesses like Western Union, we'll talk about here in a minute, they are actually starting to incorporate in crypto and make it a part of their core business model. So, Larry Fink famously said, I don't know if you know this, Leon, but Larry Fink famously said, who's like the BlackRock, like he's the BlackRock founder. He said that we're in the era of tokenization, or we're starting that era. And crypto coverage is a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big gap in the market, and that's what we're trying to address. Traditional insurance and traditional insurance models, they're very clunky, they're very expensive. We're not doing insurance, but we're doing coverage, so it is a more accessible, more affordable way to get protected from hacks and technical errors on your end. So that's what we're doing.
I really liked. We were uh, like brainstorming the other day the seatbelt in a volatile system.
Yep.
It's not a. It's more of a metaphor than anything. It's like crypto coverage. Here is acting more as like a safety constraint. It's super like crypto's super unpredictable. It's high speed environment. Everything's changing super quick. Like if you know crypto today, you probably won't know crypto next year. Even in 3 months, like if you know crypto right now,
Yep.
crypto in January, February time is going to be totally different. So super high speed. The seatbelt doesn't slow down innovation. It doesn't stop volatility, but it does ensure when something unexpected hits, somebody steals from you, you get caught up in logistics hack, you get caught up in some sort of bad actor on the internet. Like there is no safety net, but we're building that out there, and essentially we want to make sure users aren't thrown out of the system. Like if just like a car crash, you're not thrown out of the car.
Right.
Just make sure you don't get thrown out of the system and you have some sort of backup to recover your money and stop from that hack and that attack that's going out there.
Exactly. So, not to spread FUD or fear, but I'm going to share with you a video that I have been meaning to share with you that can actually give you a good reason why you may want to get crypto coverage. And I'm not trying to make this whole podcast about that or this whole episode, but this is actually pretty significant. So this is on the Clock app, or as I like to call for TikTok, and this guy actually covers
The
North Korean
Chinese clock app.
hackers. The Chinese Clock Act. There you go. Wait, so does that mean it's like in China time, or is it like
I
worldwide?
don't know. I just know that the Chinese are probably listening to us via that app. No matter what
Well,
Trump or anybody says changes, like it just feels very Chinese-y for some reason.
well, at least North Koreans might be, because this is about North Korean hackers that store malware on blockchain so it can be taken down, which is kind of interesting. So I'm gonna play it and get your thoughts on this, Leon.
Are now storing malware on the blockchain so it can't be taken down and can't be blocked. Here's how it works. They're using a method called ether hiding, where malicious code is stored right inside smart contracts on public blockchains like Ethereum or Binance Smart Chain. There are no servers, IPs, or domains to take action on or protect against. Google's threat intel team says a North Korean group called UNC 5342 has been using this trick since February, targeting software developers with fake job interviews. Victims think they're running a quick coding test, but the test downloads malware that secretly connects to Ethereum, pulls more payloads, and steals passwords, credit cards, and crypto wallets like MetaMask and Phantom. Each update to their malware costs them about $1.37 in gas fees, so for pocket change, they can swap payloads anytime with zero traceback. If you ever get an interview test file or code snippet from anyone online and it has something to do with blockchain, run it in a sandbox first, or don't run it at all unless you really know what you're doing. North Korean hackers.
Yeah, so that's the video. Basically, if you're just going about your business, most famously, if you're using a self-custody wallet like Phantom Wallet or MetaMask, and I don't know, someone installed, it's kind of like this security breach that we saw a few weeks ago with NPM, the Node Package Manager. It's very technical, very coding. You guys might be like, well, what the fuck are we even talking about? When you're building apps, you need to use like modules and open source libraries and all that to build apps. So in this case, North Korean hackers, they use some similar vulnerability to breach the blockchain to embed code that when you are transmitting crypto, it actually routes to their own wallet. So if you're sending it to yourself, you're actually not really sending it to yourself. You're sending it to a North Korean hacker. And what's beautiful about blockchains is that you can see where the transactions are happening at the exact time that they take place, the amount that is being sent, and everything. That's where we come in and we kind of give you coverage.
I knew that there was like logistics hacks. I know that there's like the ability to like intercept wallet addresses and stuff, but this is the first time I've seen like the malicious code going on the actual blockchain. So there's
Yep.
just like a new fear kind of unlocked of like, oh man, even the
Me too.
blockchain is there's a possibility that even that is not fully safe. So like inspecting everything that you're doing, like knowing which companies you're connecting to, what where your wallet's been used, all of that stuff's like super important. It's also like a due diligence of like, hey, what if I'm going to interact with this blockchain or this DeFi product or use some sort of app, like what who built it, what is it, like is it legit, there's just like a little bit of checking that I don't know if there's like a clear cut way. Like you used to always get told early internet days, check for HTTPS, super easy, you check the
Yeah.
bar. It's gotten a little more advanced since then. You gotta check that it's HTTPS, check the domain, make sure like L isn't an I that's capitalized for some weird way, like is the domain super close, like all these things. The crypto one, I think something that we have to build out, and then also just like out there is build education around how do you spot this stuff. Like I don't know how to spot that. Like
Yeah.
I would probably fall for it in
Even,
some capacity.
yeah, dude. And even for like the really good developers, I don't know what you might think of me as a developer, but even someone who might know this stuff that, might have a speculation as to what it is really hard to find too, because in the middle of tens of thousands of lines of code. So, you know, it's really hard to spot anything. So you just got to be careful. The way I think about crypto is if you're sharing with anyone your wallets, seed phrase, or your private keys or your passwords, you got to be careful who you share it to. It's like if I were to share my schlong to my wife, I'd be like, well, I only want to show it to my wife and no one else. So if I trust my wife to show her my schlong, I can probably trust her with my passwords. In this case, to my crypto funds.
That's fair.
Right?
You turn into Jeff Bezos and get threatened, but
Wait, what do you mean?
When Jeff Bezos got threatened, he was blackmailed, and he was like, "Do it, I'm not going to pay you, leak my stuff," and then but he's a different type of person where it's like, oh yeah, like, I'm not going to be,
If I see a very powerful man who is bald, I immediately become wary of him. I'm like, okay, I don't want to piss this guy off because he could probably destroy my life. So,
oh yeah,
stay away from those. Anyways, so actually, dude, I actually wanted to talk to you about Logan Paul's CryptoZoo fiasco. I don't know if you followed it. I actually first got into it with CoffeeZilla, like in 2022, 2023. Do you know what all that is about?
I have a little bit of knowledge of the CoffeeZilla stuff. Like, my understanding of it is Logan Paul kind of pulled a fraud on like selling stuff, or this is what CoffeeZilla claims, and it looks like he did really good due diligence, but I'm not super clear on it. But essentially, he claimed that Logan Paul said that there was fraud happening in there, like he wasn't doing it. It was kind of a pump and dump scheme in some capacity. There was a lawsuit, and that's kind of all I understand of it.
So, to fill in the gaps, Logan Paul, who's now a very famous wrestler in WWE, I feel like that guy changes personalities every time something comes out. Because with NFTs, he had his own NFT. Aside from CryptoZoo, like, I actually do watch his podcast. I think it's really interesting. If I were to sit next to him, I probably wouldn't dislike him. I think he's just trying to finesse the system and with everyone in it. So I don't know. That's just my opinions, which I find myself being conflicted with his things. But with CryptoZoo, I genuinely think he really dropped the ball there, and it does not look good on him at all. So with CryptoZoo, he was launching this game, and you could mint your own NFT on Ethereum, and that NFT was unique, like every other NFT claims to be, even though you're only changing like the clothes of that fucking NFT or whatever. So he ended up frauding people, and CoffeeZilla actually put a large spotlight on the case, and Logan Paul threatened to sue CoffeeZilla, but CoffeeZilla retaliated. He was actually raising money on his channels to support the lawsuit. So, I mean, honestly, a lot of the specifics have been blurred just because this has been going on for years. But there was this developing story from, at least I found it on Twitter or X, if you want to call it that. This is from Dexerto, I think that's how you pronounce it. Logan Paul's CryptoZoo lawsuit has been thrown out by a federal judge. No reasonable juror could find Logan's statements misleading or fraudulent. So, what do you think of that? I think it's bullshit.
Like, I have two thoughts, and I don't know the full part. Is either Logan Paul had some really good lawyers and he got away with it because, along the path he knew, like, he has to be careful and, say the right things and all of that. But also on the flip side, just like CoffeeZilla, my understanding is he was really well researched and he doesn't just like make claims. So essentially, Logan Paul got away with it. Like, I don't know if it's a good look really for the crypto space, but also I think Logan Paul gave back a bunch of money too.
I don't think he ever did. That's the thing. So he said on video response to CoffeeZilla, like, yeah, dude, we're going to give all that money back, like all 1 million plus. And it never happened. CoffeeZilla made 3 video series about it and nothing ever came of it from what it looks like. And I first came across this post through Zach XBT. He kind of just, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can kind of read it. But essentially, Zach XBT says that, crypto is just kind of like this, or not crypto, but the way that I guess, law system works here in the US is if you have a lot of money, you're pretty much a good guy. You can buy your way out of crimes. And this is all because of, how much affluence you have. So yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of an interesting story that I wanted to mention because we're trying to build trust on crypto, and we start by helping people who lose their money find a safety net, kind of like FDIC insurance for your bank accounts, except we're not insurance, we're coverage. We are more accessible in that regard. But yeah, what do you think?
I think, people are going to scam people. You got to be careful. You got to research stuff out there. Anything celebrity sponsored, probably not a great thing to follow into. Your own due diligence, gamble with the money that you're okay with losing. Like, that's all I can say on that stuff. It's such a hard thing to, actually know.
I agree. So let's talk a little bit more about crime now. So Trump, and you can kind of get an idea where this is going. So actually Trump pardoned the founder of Binance, CZ, or Zheng, I think that's how his name is. So there was actually a lot that happened, and I'm not sure how up to date you are with that. Do you have any thoughts? Or
No,
do you know
so
who?
I know that, again, I'll give you the background that I know is he
Right.
essentially was under investigation for some like wire fraud, some stuff.
Yes.
Insider trading maybe, and that's also part of why like Binance operates not in the United States. That's why you have like a Binance US, which is a separate entity. Essentially, the government wanted to exert more control and regulation, and Binance didn't want to follow it. So there was a bunch of investigations. I didn't realize he was actually like indicted or any of that stuff, or even really that far along. And then I know Trump kind of stepped in, pardoned him for any and all crimes that could have happened, and there's a possibility that Trump makes him like a crypto advisor. Maybe we see Binance like US get merged into Binance, International, and we're able to use Binance again proper. But that's the depth of my knowledge there too.
I'm a little conflicted with this because, for one, what the reason why Trump did it is because he's signaling the war on crypto is over with that. And, I think, yes, there were a lot of unreasonable persecutions against crypto, like Coinbase, MetaMask. They all face like, you're doing a business on securities. You're not, doing the right form of incorporating a business in this realm, which it was all bullshit. Because if you were up to date on this, Gary Gensler, the old SEC head, he was just on this agenda that was actually powered by Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren, for one reason or another, she just doesn't like crypto. I do respect her for creating this, dude, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what the fuck your deal is with that, but anyways, one thing that she did right was building the CFTC, or Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, and it protects you from getting scammed, which great, getting scammed is never a good thing, and there should be like some sort of safety net here as a advanced civilization that we are in to prevent that. Anyways, so as far as Binance, so the reason, and this is a really long story, but I'll keep it short. So there was some sort of, I want to say, scammy-ish money mingling, like money being moved around by the founder, Zhangpeng Zhao, that's his name for ZZ. ZZ, he moved some money around, and, it was discovered by the, I want to say, the Department of Justice. They did, fine him $4.3 billion. So that's a shit ton of money.
Yeah, that's a
$4.3 billion,
fine, especially for crypto.
Right. So now Trump came in. Funny enough, when it comes to Trump, if you're on his good side or if you do any favors for him, that's when you'll usually be off the hook. He'll look away. So if you keep that in mind, it's kind of, it shouldn't be surprised that Binance actually inked $2 billion stablecoin deal. So you might be wondering, why did Trump pardon ZZ? And as I said before, if you're on Trump's good side, maybe you stroke his penis once in a while. In this case, it says, in my notes, critics are screaming corruption because this came right after Binance. The pardon came after Binance inked a $2 billion stablecoin deal tied to Trump's family crypto business, World Liberty Finance, which is already raking in tens of millions for them. So, Binance is just stroking that WLF schlong, and
Yeah,
giving
like
that $2 billion
this is the
deal.
problem with Trump in many ways is, it's good and bad. He's treating the government more like a business, and in a business environment, you would cut a deal with somebody like that and just say, hey, this is what we need. This is how you're gonna do it. You follow these rules. I'll forgive you, but you got to work with us. Like, like that's a business thing. That's a life thing. Like, people may or may not like it, but it happens all the time. People cut deals. People get away with things. Like, it happens all over the world. Like, you could even steal, and people are like, you've got knowledge on somebody else, give them up, or hey, like, you've got intel, like, provide that, and we'll look the other way on stuff that happened. But the perception is that government's supposed to protect and everything, and that's the weird part of all of this. Is like, in reality, I don't know if CZ did commit a crime. Like, he might have. It's a white collar crime. I don't know if it really hurt anybody.
Yeah.
The worry is, if you let somebody like that get away, they get more emboldened. It turns into an FTX situation. But
Yes.
like, I
That one's
think
like a more
Binance
serious white
right
collar
now
crime.
for crypto being in the United States is important. Like, they launched Aster, they have BNB. They're building a lot of stuff, and like, China's not really into crypto at all. Like, in the end, so if the United States keeps pushing forward, I think really what's happening is the United States is saying, hey, crypto is such a big national security. If we can own it, we own a lot of like new technology. It's just like China probably 10 years ago versus betting on crypto. They bet on TSMC. They bet on like rare earth minerals. They bet on all these like components to build the technology versus betting on the software. And the United States has always bet on the software.
And I think that's
So
the best move because, you invest in the infrastructure, you have really good products down the road.
yeah, so we'll see. I'm like, feel a little like indifferent on the CZ thing. Like, I don't
Me
think he
too.
really hurt anybody again. I
Right.
think moving money and stuff like those wire fraud things can be very broad, and you can get in a lot of trouble with some very nascent like activities where you just didn't know. I want to believe that they weren't doing anything, but also Binance has been blamed a number of times and accused of like market manipulation, playing games with their BNB coin.
So the thing is their AML and, and anti-money laundering, I guess protocol for lack of a better word, they're pretty lax on it. So they don't do a lot of verification. If you go on Coinbase or Kraken right now, especially Coinbase because they're the goody two shoes on crypto, as I like to say, you can send sometimes $1,000 or even a few $1,000 transactions without verifying. And that's great. You got to verify that you're not getting scammed because people who don't know better, you're on a call with supposed Coinbase support, and then, they're kind of telling you, they convince you somehow along the way to send all your money to their wallets just to protect your wallet or something, which valid. But sometimes there needs to be a fine line to make crypto less UX clunky as it is right now to keeping it safe. And in one hand, you have Coinbase that is really like oppressive on their UX and their safety. It kind of is oppressive, And then Binance, they're just lax. They don't give a shit. So I think that's the nature of why they're being accused a lot on AML and just being this bad actor when they're really just trying to do business.
Yeah, that's the hard part. Hold on, I want to look up, is Binance to China at all? Like, where do they operate
No.
out of?
No, it's the other one. It's the southeastern Asian country.
Like
It's
Singapore?
Singapore. It's Singapore, yeah. BNB Binance is Singapore based, which is not China based. Kind of like TikTok with.
Actually, I think they are really they're Japanese. Like now they're
Oh, interesting.
they're in Malta. They're currently in Malta for their unofficial
Okay.
official company headquarters, but they were in China. Chinese
Mm.
government restricted cryptocurrency companies. They moved to Japan and then left Japan for Malta, um, like 2019 2020 time.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I know
I was just kind
ZZ
of curious
is.
too. Like, this is some of my anti, like Chinese like sentiment. Like,
Mhm.
if it was a Chinese company, but this is the part is CZ like this is the hard part. CZ, I believe, is still in a Chinese like citizen. Like China exerts pressure in many
Mm.
ways. Like I wouldn't be surprised if something's happening. Like if China's like
That's a
putting
good point.
pressure on them to do stuff. Like maybe Trump is trying to bring him here. Kind of like an Einstein coming from Germany to the United States. Like maybe he could bring him here to say, hey, you bring it to the United States, and we'll offer you refuge and protection. Um,
That would be
like
great, I
that'd be
think.
really
It would
interesting
be
because they're a massive
amazing.
company. I think they do like 12 to 14, $15 billion a year. So
I mean, I don't know the number, but they're the largest exchange in the world. Right next to, well, second being Coinbase.
wow,
Leon, the fact checker.
yeah, I'm about to fact check that because I'm like, I
By all
feel like there's
means.
that other one out there which is
Gemini,
Mech.
Kraken,
It's like
Mexi.
MEXC.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay, so Binance is the largest, then it's Bybit, then it's
Oh,
crypto.com, then it's Gate, then it's
really?
Mech, and then
Interesting.
it is yeah, essentially Coinbase.
I forgot about
Um,
Bybit. No, that makes
well, I guess
sense.
it depends on how you look at it, but if you do look at it like volume, it's Binance, Bybit, then Coinbase, up,
Yep.
OKX, Mech is down there, but it just depends how you look at it. But almost always, it's the largest, and there the only reason that I was like I didn't think Binance was because I always think of Binance US, and Binance US is such a small like footprint really in the end.
Yep.
I think it's like smaller than like Gemini and some of these other ones out there. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
it's Gemini is just slightly like literally just a little smaller, but that makes sense. No, but it's a very important play in the world. I don't know if
Yep.
I agree with everything, but also I again, like looking at the full picture, I can see what Trump's possibly doing here is trying to make the United States big on crypto, give them a safe haven, bring the company here, and then essentially freeze China out of the crypto market. So the United
Yep.
States once again controls more or less all currency around the world.
Yeah, I mean, US is just trying to be the global dominant country,
Yep.
which, it's a very strategic move when you're the
No doubt.
biggest, no one can fuck with you. So
Yeah.
go for it, right? But also, we'll see what happens. I'm kind of curious to see, while some people say like ICE and America is falling apart because of all the shit that Trump's doing, I actually, think crypto is making steadfast moves on moving to mainstream, which it's going to help a lot of people. I'm
Yeah, like
very,
that ties us into the
hopeful.
next topic, and like
Yep.
the biggest part that we've heard throughout the year is crypto is going to become a core part of our lives. Like your mom, my dad, your dad, they're going to use crypto, and they might not even know it. Like my
Yep.
parents are on the older age. They're just like crypto's too high risk. I don't really want to mess with it, and I'm like I kind of get it, but also it's like no, it's the future,
You
and
should
we're
tell them to get
starting to
coverage.
see that in a ton of places too. Let me see.
Not to
Oh
cut you
wait,
off, but you should tell your parents to get crypto coverage.
yeah, my dad won't even like. He refuses to buy crypto. He's just. I think he's what
Wow.
70 this year, and he's just like, man, it's a little too risky for me at this
My
point. And I'm
respects.
like, ugh.
You know what? My only pushback on that is the biggest risk you can do is not trusting you, not betting on yourself.
Yeah, but I think once you get to that age, 70 years old, like there's
That's
no
a good point.
point to like
Do a
like
lot.
he's thinking about the next. Sounds terrible, but he's thinking about the next 10 years of his life. Like if he makes it that
Well,
far. Um,
that's a good point.
like
Yeah.
he's like, man, I'm gonna all. I think essentially everything goes from stocks to bonds and like bonds and government
Okay.
backed things versus stocks. Like he's not buying stocks anymore. He's just like, no, like there. So
Valid.
I see and understand that because he's like, man, I don't want to put money in like Bitcoin was 120 last like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and it's like roughly 110, 105 floating around. He's like, that's a little more too much volatility for my old age. I get that
Well,
one.
at least his son, betted on Bitcoin early on, and now
Oh
your
yeah,
bags are
20.
fucking
I
massive,
remember
man.
like 2012, 2013 talking about it. Nobody thinking it's serious. Mining in high school, it was great. And then
That's
now
amazing.
look at this. Like this, tying to all the international and like it coming to places like again, our parents are probably going to use it. Western Union, which is a big money mover and just like they're a fundamental part of like a core part of moving money from like the United States to Mexico to other countries, or even just to send money sometimes to people is Western Union. Like I
I'm
I
not a big fan of
remember
Western
it.
Union, but this is kind of
I'm
big.
not a fan of them, and I think they're a little predatory from time to time with what they
Absolutely.
charge, to get somebody who's unbanked and all that. But also there's cases for Western Union. I've gone to Western Union to get money orders, like the same cash, things. I've also sent people money on Western Union because they were, stranded in another country and that was literally the only thing they could, go get. But
Hmm.
Western Union has always been on the forefront of looking at alternative ways to move money. They were early on Ripple. They were talking about using as cross border, remittance. Now they're filing trademarks for WUUSD, hinting at a crypto wallet, hinting at stablecoin payments. Like the interesting part of this though that I'm still somewhat struggling with is they're going to launch on the Solana network, and I don't know, Jr. Do you know why they're going to do that?
I'm actually not surprised because Ethereum it is the second oldest, most used network. When I say network, I mean like blockchain, the first one being Bitcoin. And you can fact check me on this if you want, but I'm pretty confident I'm gonna be right. Solana came
You
out
don't think so
in
far?
nice. Solana is only 5 years old. Did you know that? It came out like in 2020 and it's VC funded, but it's like
Oh, is it
so
VC funded? That's super
it is.
interesting.
It is. It's very centralized, which is kind of like the biggest critique I've seen. I've been on crypto for a few years now, like more than five, So I've seen kind of everything at this point. Well, not everything, but anyways, Solana is just faster. It's cheaper. It's has the most volume. The current CEO of Western Union said himself, "Oh, we're on Solana because it is the fastest and has the most volume." And it makes sense. A lot of it is from Pump.Fun. If you want to look at volume, which I think it's kind of naive to look at it from just a volume perspective, because again, like volume is not everything. We got to talk about use case. Solana is mostly used for money, as it is. Ethereum is mostly used for building apps and trading and, you know, building, if you compare it to Solana. Solana is just, hey, I'm moving money around, whether I'm gambling on, there are some gambling casinos on Solana. There are some, meme coins, which if you want to consider that gambling, you can. But again, most of the volume is actually from Pump.Fun and then Let's Bonk, which they're just, meme coin gambling sites where you can launch pad them, which means like you can launch your own meme coin and then you can either rug pull early buyers or you get rug pulled if you buy another coin. That's
Yeah.
largely what happens. It is a lot of risk, but I mean, to each their own. But
I guess it's probably, and I wouldn't be surprised if Solana's out there like politicking. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to shift that whole persona away from like Pump Fun and all these meme tokens to be like, hey,
Right.
no, we're a serious like money remittance platform. Like we're more important because yeah, like the argument on crypto continuously is it an asset? Is it a money? Is it a technology? Like what is it? And I believe it's like a money and a technology and
Yep.
asset.
Um,
Asset. Like
okay.
Bitcoin's an asset, it's gold.
Yes.
USDC is money, but also Solana's money and ETH is money, like in many ways.
Yep.
I think stablecoins makes a bigger case. When stablecoins hit the market, I was a little confused at it. Still a little confused at it because I'm like there, but it is just a tokenization, a blockchainifying of like the US dollar, which I think
Yes.
is a good move in the end once I kind of wrap my head around it and seen it. I think it does confuse like what is Solana really used for. You have Chainlink out there with JP Morgan. Like there right now we're in the wild west of crypto, and until they finally kind of like lay it out, I think we're going to see a lot of that. There's a few other things though happening out there, like Zelle. Like everybody has access to Zelle in the United States, more or less. If you use a big bank like a J.P. Morgan or
I have Capital One, and it
yeah,
is embedded into my bank, so I love
yes,
Zelle. It's so
yeah,
convenient.
like that's the best way to send money sometimes. The problem that I have with Zelle is if you have multiple bank accounts, you can't have more than one bank account. You have to like have different emails and stuff. Minor like first world problem of having more than one bank account. But
Must be nice.
they're going to start allowing crypto, stable coins for international transactions. I think it's going to be just kind of a, like the rails to the system you're going to hit with US dollars or, whatever currency conversion that your bank is providing. But it's like, this is the prime comment right here. Like, we are approaching mass adoption, and this is the future of finances is crypto. Like you're probably going to be
Yes.
sending USDC. You might get that turned into cash at some point, but more and more, I think these banks are just going to go, why do we need to convert it back to USD when we can just leave it on USDC and hold that money in like centralized, kind of
Dude,
reserves?
the other thing is if you go to traditional bank accounts, it doesn't fucking matter. If you go to Bank of America, Chase, they all pay pretty low interest rates. It's mostly reflected also on the whatever the Federal Reserve changes its BPS on, or is that what it's called? BPS, like the rate, the federal interest rate. Whenever the Federal Reserve changes that, your more times than not, your interest rate that you get paid out on savings accounts lowers or changes, and it fluctuates. With crypto, it always stays at least 4.2% or at least 4.1, which is where Coinbase a few weeks ago, we didn't cover this, but a few weeks ago, Brian Armstrong with Coinbase, they were launching this massive PR move where banks, they are pushing back on the Genius Act or the Stablecoin Act that passed in Congress that says, crypto is just too good. Essentially, they would never say it, but crypto's too good. They're actually affecting the business model on these banks because business banks are being forced to compete now with the convenience on crypto. So to your point, crypto is just it's just too good, man.
Yeah, it's
These
coming. Like
banks, they just can't catch up.
even I was bouncing around. Somebody was texting me stuff, but
Yep.
we peaked at this. Like Coinbase is going to collaborate with Citi. Like Wells Fargo is working with providers.
Yep.
Like Fidelity, or maybe it was. I think it's Fidelity. Fidelity, which is like one of the largest brokerages for retail
Yep.
investors, is now allows deposits and withdrawals of Bitcoin. Like it's coming. Like Citi's looking at using digital assets. They're looking stablecoin payments. On and off ramps. Like so much more out there. It's just happening, and then
Yep.
like everybody is positive on this, and I think what's going to happen is the mass adoption is going to happen. You're not going to realize you're using USDC. You're just going to go, oh, one USDC equals $1. I don't really care. Let me send this. Oh, there's way less
Right.
fees. I'm going to go with the way less fee option than transferring it to PayPal, getting a fee on PayPal. Like I think Venmo, PayPal, All these services out there could be the they could be dead. The one problem though is most of the world still isn't really accepting like stable coins. Like the Philippines, India is like a black hole for crypto. China,
Yeah.
you don't really work with anybody in China. Pakistan is starting to accept it, but you need these other foreign countries that are like BPO nations to start accepting it widely for, I think, adoption to happen on the business side. Like
That makes sense.
if Deal, which does like contracting for every like large company out there, if you want to hire internationally and have them as employees and compliance and all that drunk, they don't really support crypto that well. Like they're starting to, but I think as soon as you start to see the big banks do it and people go, oh hey, I can use that, and they discover that the fees are almost nothing, they're gonna go, why the hell don't I use this for my payments on businesses? Like I think Stripe could be at risk. I think there's so many businesses that will likely pivot and move and adjust to the new world, but crypto is going to fundamentally change finance in the next. I think it's going to take a little bit longer than what is happening, but in the next like 10 years, it's going to revolutionize what's happening. Just
Yep.
like
It's going
the
to be very
internet
different.
did
You're not
in
going
the
to
early
recognize it.
2000s. It took roughly 10 years to get where it was, even though most people on the internet by 2005 were like, oh no, the internet's what it is. Like if you were on it, you were ahead of the curve. But it took to like 2010 for like Tumblr and everything else to really pop up and get the
Instagram,
infrastructure
Facebook.
built out.
Well, not Facebook, but Instagram, that sort of stuff. And we still use it
Yeah,
today.
yeah, like all of that had to launch, and I think that's what's happening right now. Is the Yahoos, the AOLs, all of that's being built out, and I think in another 5 years, you're gonna see like which companies are actually starting to solidify as the big players. The technology is going to caught up. The banks are going to support it. Everything's going to be there. But I think like 2035, we'll see like USDC. The only way to send money is going to be USDC via Zelle or via some platforms. Shopify is going to accept USDC almost predominantly. Credit cards are going to be in USDC. Like I think when that happens, they're going to do it. But I think they need to figure out how does the bank collect fees? How does the bank lend? Like all of those like traditional finance stuff, how does that change? And I think that's going to take the longer view of everything.
Yeah. So, one more thing I'll say on that is right now we are probably seeing a big impact on the white collar market, job market for developers. A lot of them say that, oh, AI is going to take our jobs sort of thing. And this is kind of like one fear I have, because I'm also a software engineer. AI is not going to, you still need pilots to drive the ship. You need developers who are good at building Web3 applications or crypto applications. And it's all fintech. It is still surprisingly a niche skill. AI is good. I saw this post on Twitter like this week that said AI isn't replacing developers, it's just making developing easier. There's less typing, being required now because of AI. So you still need the pilot to drive the ship. So I think
I
we'll get there
remember when
faster.
Squarespace, Webflow, like all of those like page builder platforms, Framer even recently came out. Like everyone was like, "Oh, WordPress is going to be the end of the end of web development, and WordPress is going to be gone. Everyone's going to build on Squarespace." And this Squarespace has like 1-2% of the internet. Shopify is like 3%. I think Webflow is like maybe 1-2% too. I think all of them make up maybe like 10 to 15% of the internet, but WordPress and like custom websites. WordPress is 50%, and like custom websites make up a good chunk, and page builders are only small. I think the same thing's going to happen with AI. Like it's probably going to be there, but I know for sure crypto is going to eat the world, whereas AI is eating a world in a very different way. The crypto is eating the world and just kind of upgrading our financial system. Like I've worked
Dude.
with like companies where they're banks and they're like, oh yeah, you have to like send this FTP file to this server, and that server will then do the wires the next day. And I was like, wait, what? I was like, no. And they go, yeah, like it's just an antiquated bank that they haven't upgraded. It's just like Southwest and their stupid like Windows XP
Yeah.
like thing. Like they just nobody's upgraded the financial system since like the '60s.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's kind of like the power grid. Like, I mean, this is a separate topic, right? But like, the reason why our electric bill is going up so much is because all these AI data centers are just swallowing up the electric grid. Nobody has updated it since the 70s or 60s either. So, we're
Yeah, it's
we
the
need to
one
catch up a
part
lot.
where China, like, if you go to China, you see like public infrastructure is a huge thing. Like the southeast, southwest region, which is like closer to like the Middle East and like Middle Asia and all that. Um,
Yep.
like they have high speed rail from all the way out there to like Shanghai and Bangkok and or not Bangkok, but Shanghai and their capital city. I can't remember it. Um, like the roads, they have some of the
Shanghai.
tallest bridges like a mile up in the mountains. Like the United States
Oh,
doesn't invest in this, and this is the first time the United States is investing in a worldwide upgrade of all their financial systems. So I think that's a massive and huge thing. Kind of glazing the crypto here. I know that there's going to be bad things, like Big Brother is going to be able to watch money way easier. I think there's some like very scary components to it, but I think overall it's an important move and change for us. Like I'm super excited to be able to send money easier and not have to deal with fucking PayPal or Venmo. Like I've run into
even
problems with
PayPal.
you. Like I
Even
hit a
PayPal has a stable coin, so you can see where the
yeah.
market is moving.
I want my employees in the Philippines to go, hey, I want to take stablecoin payments or I want to take crypto payments. I've yet to have anybody accept that. Like you see a few people, like Mayor of Miami took it. Some random football players take it.
Yeah.
Occasional people that are well off take it because they're making like long term bets. But when somebody in the Philippines that's like just building their career, they're making maybe like 1,500 a month, goes, hey man, can you pay me that in Solana? That's the day where I'm gonna go, oh yeah, I'll pay you in Solana, but I want to like test this. Like I want you to keep track of how much you keep, like how much you earn, what are unrealized gains. Like I want to show somebody out there, and maybe we do it on our blog at some point of like, hey,
Yeah.
this is the benefits of it. You can actually make more money because this is an appreciating asset. Obviously, there's risk and all that, but it's not going
I
anywhere.
mean, one thing I'll say to that is with Bitcoin, we're seeing all these. Gemini released this Bitcoin credit card, or just their credit card, where instead of earning points, you earn Bitcoin, or you can swap it out for any other blue chip token like XRP, Solana, Ethereum, you name it. Um, your money actually improve. Like if you look at points, you're pretty much tied to an ecosystem of wherever they accept the points. Like if you have American Express, you can only use American Express
Yeah.
points. But with Bitcoin, it's universal. So not only are you earning a universal reward, you can always withdraw for actual cash. But also, if you hold your Bitcoin, which by the way, it was the most lucrative asset in the last decade, you actually have a good chance of earning even more than what your points initial value is if you hold it for at least a year or so. It's just that's just an example, but I mean, who knows? It could grow even more.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think that kind of covers the week of news and gossip and topics.
Yep.
If you're
Let us know what you
watching,
think of this format.
I really liked it. I actually thought the you explaining Binance was much more fun, and I felt more
Yeah.
engaged than sometimes what ends up happening is you talk and I like fall asleep, truthfully, and then I do the
No, you're
same
not
thing. I
wrong.
talk and you fall asleep.
Right. No, it's okay. Yeah, well, you as an audience listener, thanks so much for tuning in. Let us know what you think. If you want to, I've been thinking about this. We need to go online. We need to go stream this on YouTube and or Discord. So if you want to tune in, let us know, you know, if you want to engage with us while on call, because I think it'll be fun if some of our audiences could talk to us while on the podcast.
I would love that. Like I think there's more community engagement stuff. Like I want people to leave more comments on the YouTube. Like maybe we set up an email distro to email us ideas and stuff. Like I
Yep.
want to talk to people.
Yeah, me too. I mean, The best opportunities in life happen just by meeting people. Just like my life changed when I met Leon. So that's one
Yeah.
thing. Great.
Yeah,
Well,
we do
thanks
it
so
all
much
in
for
life.
listening. We'll be seeing you next week.
All right. Bye.
See ya.